So we got to the bottom, more or less. That's the last couple of lines we did end up learning. I can't work out. We ended up learning. Okay.
What page?
Ein Vav base 76. That's the last couple of lines. I just recap the sugya to finish up the last couple of lines. We just were 4 minutes yesterday. We had to stop short. But the subject was if a cheskas haguf is strong enough to take out money from the other party. It means that the case by us were that this woman, when she was born, she didn't have a mum. Question is when the mum came, when did the blemish arrive? There's a cheskas haguf that says that she didn't have it, so push it off to the latest possible time. Is that enough to prove, or at least assume that the mom didn't come till it was by the husband? She was by the husband after the marriage, and therefore he married her without a blemish, and he's chayv Kesuvo. Another case that came up was about a switch between a donkey owner and a cow owner, that they made a switch, but the donkey wasn't present at the time of the switch, and then they found that it was dead. Did it die in the possession and the jurisdiction, the possession of the original owner, or after they switch? And do you say the cheskas haguf is enough to, even over there, the case might even be to retain the money, not only to take out the money, but even to retain the money because he has the cow already. And then the Gemara went into that subject also by a treifa, an animal that they found that there was a punctured stomach. And the question is, when did it happen? It means there was a nail in the stomach. He just swallowed a nail, which happens today also. They eat all kinds of needles and pins that you find in their stomach. And the question is, when did the needle puncture the stomach? Was it before the sale, after? You sell them a treifa or not? You say the cheskas haguf. So at the end, the Gemara says that the way the Gemara fixes it up, that there was a misquote, and the way Shmuel was quoted. First off, he quoted Shmuel, and then his brother, Rami Bar Cheskel, said that there was a misquote. Don't listen to the way he said it. Shmuel meant to say, for the case of the donkey and the cow that was switched, that the donkey owner is the one who wins. That the cheskas haguf is enough to retain the money. Not enough to take out the money. He took the cow also. They made the switch on the cow. The donkey owner made the kinyan on the cow, so he has the cow. And the cheskas haguf is enough to retain. And to align that together with the subject where it talks about the needle that punctured the stomach, over there, the way the Gemara figures it out is to say that usually the money is paid before, when you buy a cow, the seller doesn't give you the cow until you pay for it. That's the norm. Of course, sometimes you get credit and you'll have the cow without having paid for it. But the norm, that's what the Gemara ends up, that the norm is that people don't give the animal, don't give the merchandise until they get the money. So the stam is that money was in the hands of the seller. And when it said that, how does it go? I'm sorry. The machash, so it says over there, so the Gemara is going to explain that is going to mean that money is in the hands of the seller. And now we found that the animal is a treifa. And would mean that the buyer is the motzi, and where's the cheskas haguf? The cheskas haguf is that there was not a treifa, so it's on the seller's side. The chazak is on the seller's side, and therefore he's allowed to keep the money. He does keep the money. The Gemara explained that the case is not most mechaber either way. If it was on credit, and who has the money? The buyer has the money, so the owner of the cow wouldn't be able to extract the money because of the cheskas haguf. The chazaka, that the animal was not a treifa, was not enough to extract the money, but it is enough to retain the money. That's what we did yesterday. Okay, now bottom line. Back to the subject of the Mishnah, that if a man made a condition when he married the woman, that he's only marrying her if she has no blemish, and then he found a blemish. So if it was there at the time of the marriage, so then it's not a marriage. That was his condition. It's simple. But it says that if it was revealed mum, only if it's a concealed mum, he wasn't able to see it. But if he saw it, so then he agreed. He agreed that he saw it. He knew what he's getting. He knew what he's buying, so to speak. So then he can't come and say, I didn't mean this. You saw it and you agreed. Rav Nachman, top of the page, the nichva Kemumen Shabbosei Sedami. Epilepsy. This will be somebody that has the disease of epilepsy and they machlatan filah, they call it in Hebrew. So that's considered a concealed blemish because you don't see it. It happens once in a while, you don't see it. But the Gemara says that's only if it's possible to always be out of sight when there's going to be an attack. Immediately the Kavil Isman, that this epilepsy has a certain time, whenever he knows every couple of days, whatever it is. So then he's careful, she's careful not to be outside in a way amongst people when it happens. So then it could be that she was concealing her mom. If it's not a set time, then because since she's not able to prevent from being seen when she does have an attack, so then it's considered the goli. That people found out about it already. I guess the application will be to anything, whatever is nowadays, whatever the application will be. It's possible to hide some blemishes, diseases. Sometimes it's not possible. So that's the point, that if you made a condition that they have no blemishes, then I found later on that there was a blemish, so it's a reason to say I didn't mean that wasn't a condition. Yes.
Hello, Rebbe.
Yes, please.
With epilepsy in particular, I think now there's medication. So if somebody's taking a medication, then it would be hidden and people wouldn't know it, and people wouldn't see her taking the medication. Be a case
so that's considered also kavua lozman. There's a way to be able to hide it. Since there's a way to hide it, so then also that will be considered mum shabbosei. So and he meant he doesn't want a wife who has epilepsy, even if there's medication. I guess that'll be the point over here. So good. Okay, that's the issue. Now the Mishnah has changed the subjects now to talk about the man. A man has a mum, some kind of a blemish that the man got. There's that grounds that the woman could say that I want out. She wants to demand the divorce. A man, even if it came a mum on him, no divorce means it happened after they were married. He got a blemish. That's not a reason to force him to divorce. Yes, only if it's a small blemish, but if it's a big blemish, and even by a man, it's something a woman can't tolerate, then she's allowed to have grounds for divorce. It says in the postscript that whenever we are going to force him, that means he has to give Kesuvo also. Right. I wouldn't have thought so, but that's what it says, that if there's grounds for divorce, he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't sound like he's bad, but if he got a blemish in a way that it'll be a reason to force him to divorce, and then also he has to give Kesuvo also. But the Chacham argue, there's machlokas going on. Tanakama doesn't hold it. Tanakama holds even if it will be a big mum, also we don't force him to divorce. So Shimon Gamliel says a big mum, but the more is going to say what is a big mum according to Shimon Gamliel, and we'll see maybe there are cases even the Rabban also are going to agree that there is grounds for divorce even according to the Chacham. So, but in the Mishnah we have machlokas according to Tanakama, a man getting a blemish is not a reason for divorce, and Shimon Gamliel says sometimes it is. Mum gedolim, a big blemish. This word noldu here, it says isha noldu. The Mishnah says noldu. Noldu means that it happened after they were married. That's the gersa we have, and that was the gersa of Rabbi Yehuda. But Chiya bar Rav had a different gersa. Instead of the word noldu, we had the word hayu. He said the word hayu, which would mean the way you would read it is isha hayu bo moment. That means that he had the blemish before he got married, and that means that as we'll see in a second that. Since he had the mum, so therefore she can't say I want out because he knew about it already before. And Rav Shimon Gamliel is going to say that sometimes even if there was a blemish when they got married, still sometimes she could say I can't tolerate it, even though when she got into the marriage was there already. We'll see that soon. So first the more explains the machlokes. Mandam and Noldu kolshkin hayu. The Kesuvo kibla. The mandam that has the gear that we have Noldu and Kal V'chomer. Even if it came after the marriage, there's no room for no grounds for divorce. So Kal V'chomer, if it was there before the marriage, because she knew about it and she accepted it. Savra b'kibla. She knew about it and she accepted it. But Manda Amar Hayu, but if the gear is going to be Hayu, that means the Mishnah only says you don't force him to divorce if it was there and she knew about it. If it came after the marriage, then according to that Girsa, Tanakama also would say, that everybody would say that there is grounds for divorce. Again, our Mishnah, the way we have it, says Noldu, which is a big chiddush, and even if it came after the marriage, ain't kol for we're going to see that's how we pass it. But there was a Girsa that said only Hayu. If it was there before the marriage, then you don't force him to divorce because she said, I can't take it because you knew about it. But if it would have come after the marriage, then the din would be that you do force him to divorce. There was a kasha from the Mishnah, end of the Mishnah. Tanan, we learned in our Mishnah that if Shimon Gamliel says sometimes by a big blemish, you do force him to divorce. Tanan, Amr Shimon Gamliel, if it's a big blemish, then you do force him. I think I was going to ask if it was there before the marriage and she knew about it. What's the difference if it's a big blemish? Bishlam Madam Anoldu, if we're talking about that it came after the marriage, so we could differentiate if it's a small blemish, a big blemish. I know Deshani, that a small blemish, we say, even if it happened after the marriage, but keep it, don't, not a reason for divorce. But if it's a big blemish, you can see it. Shimon Gamliel says maybe that's grounds for divorce. But if she saw it and she knew about it and she accepted it, so what's the difference if it's a big blemish? The answer is she thought she could take it, but she can't. If it's a big blemish, which the was going to say right away it was considered a big blemish, even though she accepted it, but now she sees after a while she can't tolerate it. So Shimon Gamliel says that it's acceptable, or her time is acceptable, and the Rabbanan say not. That since she accepted it, so she accepted it, and he doesn't have to divorce her. The following are the Mumin Gedolim that Shimon Gamliel is talking about. Shimon Gamliel, he got blinded in one eye. Here, one of his eyes got cut off, or one of his feet broken foot. I guess it means a permanent break. Of course, if it's just a couple of weeks, that's nothing. But Nishra Ragla, in a way that he can't walk. So that's considered a big mum that according to Shimon Gamliel, she could demand a divorce. And now the Gemara just explained that even if she, according to Shimon Gamliel, even if he had this condition before they got married, she could say, I thought I could tolerate it, but I can't tolerate it. Who do you pass on like? Itmar Abba. What is that?
Why is his broken foot?
He can't walk. He can't walk.
He can't walk at all.
That seems to be the case. That he can't walk. Nowadays we think of a broken foot. Now I don't know what's the big thing like, but could be.
Well, even other ailments, you would look down on such a thing, right? People are married, and then
Right,
one
and
of
then
them gets sick or
Right.
something happens, and the other one just splits.
Right,
It seems
right. So
like-
I don't think that this is praiseworthy, doctor, but it means they have a right, and the business they have a right. But again, you're right that real marriage, they're loyal to each other, and even if there's a lot of suffering, but they stay loyal to each other. I think you're right. A lot of these in the whole Masechtas, I think it's important to keep in mind this point that it's not always the ideal. It's just rights. The rights in Bezdin, schuyot. Not always they go with schuyot. Always, even the way the money is divided, like even if the money all belongs to the husband, so he gives her an allowance, and that that's not the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be all happy, one happy family. But there are rights, and then the Bezdin, when it comes to such a point in Bezdin, so we have to know who legally has the rights. So we have machlok in the Mishnah. Shimon Gamliel says there's some big movement that she could demand a divorce, and Chacham argued, who do you pass them like? So Yochanan is quoted as saying Allah Shimon Gamliel that she could demand a divorce, and Rabbi says the name of Rav Nachman, Allah is like the Chacham that she cannot. She cannot, even the big movement also, she cannot demand a divorce. There was a problem with the quotation of Rav Shimon Gamliel. Rabbi Yochanan said, here it says, Rabbi Yochanan said, Allah Shimon Gamliel. The more the kasha, we have Rabbi Yochanan Hachi, Vamra Rabbi Babuchan, Rabbi Yochanan, the whole Makom Shishana, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, Mishnah saying, Allah Kamoso, Chutz, Arve, Vitzido, Virayach Rona. Here it says that Allah Rabbi Shimon Gamliel in this one case. He was Rabbi Bayakov, Rabbi Yochanan, Allah Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. And the more is bothered that he was, Rabbi Yochanan is quoted that in the whole Shas, the Allah is like Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, only with 3 exceptions. You don't have to say each time Allah is like Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. He says the whole Shas, Allah is like Rabbi Shimon Gamliel each time, except for 3 cases, Arev and Sidon and Rayach Ron. Rashi tells us what they are, but it's not relevant for us. There are 3 halachas over there. We don't pass like Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, but in general you do. So how come Rabbi Yaakov said over here, Allah is like Rabbi Shimon Gamliel? Of course, Rabbi Yochanan also is like Rabbi Shimon Gamliel in the Mishnayos. The one answers, I'm a Roy Ninu, I'll leave it to Rabbi Yochanan. That's machlokes what Rabbi Yochanan said. Rabbi Babuchan said Rabbi Yochanan always passes like Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, and Rabbi Bayakov didn't hold of that. Therefore, he only quoted Rabbi Yochanan saying over here the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, but not all over. But it happens to be as far as the halacha goes. We don't pass like this. We pass like Rav Nachman, halacha v'dei Chachamim. We pass like the Chachamim that even a big mum is not a reason for divorce, even if it came after marriage. The Rosh does say that's the Rosh over here that says brings down Shulchan Aruch such an opinion that the case of the big mum, it says one eye was blinded, one hand cut off, one foot was broken. But the Rosh says that in the name of some people, Yesh Omrim, that if both eyes were blinded, both hands were cut off, both feet. So then even the Chachamim would say that's such a big mum that even the Chachamim would agree that she could demand a divorce. And it's brought down Shulchan Aruch has such an opinion. There is such an opinion.
You don't think Nispera Raglo could mean walking with a limp? So
I thought it means that he can't walk. If he's walking with a limp, I imagine that's not the case. The case of Nishbra probably means that he can't walk, can't use it. And still, 1 foot is better than no fee, because even though he can't use it, but he crutches, whatever it is, it's still possible to jump around. But both feet, the Rosh says is worse, and also by hands, two hands, we understand that too. He has no hands at all, so he's very helpless. The Rosh says like it's very extreme. They're so extreme that even their one would agree. He doesn't say it. He says mistaber. It's reasonable to think that since the Gemara said a singular, this must eno if the other one hand, but by two hands, two eyes, 2 feet. So then maybe the Rabbanan would agree also.
That's the one is bar. No.
Which one?
When mistaber.
Mistaber?
You said use the word.
I said, yeah, it doesn't say that. The Rosh says it.
Oh,
Mistaber means that's reasonable. Mistaber, we say the word mistaber. So that was the subject of a husband. The husband has a mum. Is that a reason for the woman the demanding a divorce? And we're talking about, as we say in Oldu, it says in our Mishnah that even if it happened after the marriage, and we pass like the Rabbanan that it's not grounds for divorce, even a big mum. Only a giant mum, like the Rosh says, that's a question. Even that is not it doesn't say openly, but that's what the Rosh brings down. And
Because she's more reliant on, because back then she was more reliant on being married and wanted more to be married. Is that the reason?
you're assuming that this doesn't apply nowadays? Why are you saying it as such a given?
I don't know.
No, you're saying it as a given that doesn't apply nowadays.
No, I thought that maybe the svara is because women need the protection of being married and need the to have
And therefore they
the means to live.
therefore they
And
they
nowadays,
agreed.
when they don't have the means, it wouldn't apply.
It's a question, maybe saying maybe,
Why-
but not that
why-
anybody told not that anybody told us that.
No.
It could be that it applies nowadays also.
Why does it
Okay.
define that?
That a woman doesn't have a right to demand the divorce because the husband
Or she's less,
Has a-
or
has a
maybe it
blemish.
just has to do with the externals. She's not as,
what's considered a blemish. This is a big blemish that bothers people. That's hard to live with. So I can't say more than it says, but you're raising a point that maybe this
I
maybe
wondered if it had to do with, social. Whatever the
and
word is,
those
economic-
and they might change.
economic reasons, or maybe it has to do with the women aren't as external. So a big blemish for a woman might be bad midos, and she doesn't care, can't walk.
Mhm.
I don't know.
You want to know if it changes nowadays?
Yeah.
I don't know. The Mishnah continues that there are things that the woman, even though the one said by a moon, a blemish not, but there are some things that are so extreme, not after a blemish. We'll see that some things that these are blemishes, and here, even the one say that she could demand a divorce. Ukashkin. I don't know how to translate that. Something with boil, some kind of English translation. But does it help us over here?
This is wild.
Boil.
Smitten with wild.
Smitten with boil. So, okay, so that's something that man could demand a divorce.
I would assume it's chronic, it's constant.
Yes, it goes away, Yeah. About Polipas, the Gemara is going to talk about some kind of bad smell. We'll see that soon. Amakamitz, the Gemara is going to talk about also something about that he becomes disgusting because of his profession, the job that he does. The Gemara is going to talk about if it has a bad smell and therefore she can't live with him. Right, the Gemara is going to say what that means. That's one possibility. Hamitzarf nechoshes, something about copper. The Gemara is going to talk about if it means that he's a copper smith or that he's a copper miner. He mines, and also the Shannon is always blood, or maybe it has a smell also when he goes to mine. I don't know. Borsi means a tanner. Tanner, it has bad smell. Maybe nowadays the methods are different. I don't know how they tan nowadays, but a kind of profession that makes him a bad smell and she can't tolerate it. She's a lot of demand of divorce. No, if it happened after the marriage, not going to happen after the marriage, even if it was before the marriage, and like it's going to say soon that she could say that I thought that I could tolerate it, but I can't tolerate it. First one line, Valkula, a number of May, Afisha, his name, even more extreme. Even if she made a condition that he made a condition with her, not only that she knew about it, but he made a condition. This is my condition, that I'm a mukashkin, or I have a bad smell, or that I'm a bad odor. My profession causes a bad odor, and she agreed. Still, she could change her mind. I thought that I could tolerate it, and I can't. And therefore, she has grounds for divorce, even if she had agreed the favorish. Not only that she knew about it, but she even agreed the favorish. She explicitly agreed to that matzav. Still, she could say that I can't tolerate it, then she's allowed to demand a divorce. That once she agreed, the Mishnah seemed to say that's the only argument in this case where she beferish agreed. If she didn't, even though he had that situation before, she knew about it, then maybe the one also agreed that she could back out. But if they made such a condition that I'm marrying you, knowing you should know, and she accepted it, so then she cannot back out. The Rabbi said she could back out even in such a case because she thought she could tolerate, but she sees that she can't. But the Rabbanan say no. If she agreed upon it, the favor, so then she has to agree. Then there's no way that she can get out. She accepted it. She accepted it. Except for Mukashkin, the first case, Mukashkin, then she does get out. And the Gemara is going to explain that means that she is causing him to rob. That means that relations is not healthy for him. A person who's a Mukashkin and he has relations, sexual relations, so then it's bad for him, makes him worse. So therefore, the Gemara is going to say that we separate them, even if they both want to stay married, we would separate them because it's not good for him. It's not good for him to be married. New point. Meister Sidon, but Borsi, there was a story in the city of Sidon that there was a Borsi Yachashemes. He was married, happily married, and he died without children. And now the question is about the brother. The brother also had the same profession, and she falls to Yibum. His brother also was a tanner. She lived with the brother. So now the live brother says, you see, it wasn't so bad, so marry me.
Both
tanners. So you see, so she says, no, for your brother, I was able to tolerate it. It was difficult, but I loved him. But for you, I can't tolerate it. Not because I don't like you, but you're a tanner. And the tanner, the bad smell bothers me. So just because I accepted it for the brother doesn't mean I accepted it for you. So that's the reason why she could say that she doesn't want to do Yibum, and she would get Kesuvo. It wouldn't be like she's a Moredas. A regular woman doesn't accept to do Yibum, so then she loses the Kesuvo. Because part of the marriage includes that if the husband died without children, she should do Yibum. And if she doesn't want to, she's called him Moredas, and then she loses the Kesuvo. But this is a fair reason that we said, of course, surely you don't force her to do Yibum. And even though she was able to accept it for her brother, that's because she liked the brother. But now she doesn't necessarily able to tolerate it by the Yavam.
He could quit being a tanner. That would be
Right.
If he quit being a tanner.
Right. If you stop being a tanner, that's true. My bel polipos, what does that mean? We had the Mishnah here about what is that? So I said some kind of bad smell. Here the Gemara says, Amar Abiyuda Mishmuel Reach HaChotem. The Masisa Tana Reach HaPeh. Seems to be Machlok. Shmuel explained that it means some kind of bad smell that comes from the nose. I don't know the name of that, but from the nose comes a bad smell. And in the Bryce it said bad breath from the mouth.
Bad breath.
Both of them. No,
Oh, bad.
bad. I don't know what the name is. Not that the bad odor emits from the nose. That's Reach HaChotem. And the other one is Reach HaPeh. Well, we say bad breath from the mouth. Rav Asi Masni Ibcha. Rav Asi, that's who said what? In our Girsa, Rav Shmuel was the one who said Reach HaChotem. And the Masisa Tana was Reach HaPeh. And Rav Asi had the opposite Girsa. That's the question of who said what. And he says that Shmuel is the one who said Reach HaPeh, and the Rice is the one who said Reach HaChotem. Just switching around the names. And Rav Asi, who changed around the Girsa, so he gave a simon to remember how he thinks it's supposed to be said, that Shmuel is the one who spoke about the mouth. And the way the simon goes is, Shmuel, the pasuk Puma Mikula Pirkan. That's the simon. Remember, Shmuel didn't stop saying the whole parrot. His mouth didn't stop. It's an expression in Hebrew. The pasuk Puma Mikir say he didn't stop learning. He didn't stop talking. So to remember, this is simon. That's the new manic. To remember that Shmuel's one who spoke about the mouth. Not that Shmuel spoke about the nose. Shmuel spoke about the mouth because you remember Shmuel's always talking and learning. That's the way to say it. That Shmuel didn't stop saying over this parak of learning. So just to remember a simon that Shmuel was talking. That means the simon that the Reach HaPeh, that Shmuel's the one who said that the bad breath. But this is, in Shulchan Aruch it says both shatim is all machlokas, whatever it is, the bad smell that comes either from the nose or from the mouth, that she wants to get. It says in the Mishnah Makam, it's always a reason to demand the get that she could. My Makam, what is that? One of you does the person who had a profession to gather the dog's excrement. So that was the profession once upon a time. Rav Mil talks about it, that not only dog's excrement, they used to collect all the excrement. They used to use that. They had a outhouse, and then they would collect it, and that would be fertilizer, and they would come and have some kind of a truck that was a wagon. So that obviously has a bad smell. The whole day is working with excrement. So that's kind of to say that he wants a divorce, that she wants a divorce. So according to this Strat Mekamitz means somebody who collects the Tzoas Kalavim. They used to use it also to work out parchment.
Yeah.
That was used to as part of the tannery business. He would be the one who collected it. After, today also they have all kinds of people that clean sanitation men, and they clean out also sewers. But I guess today they do it in a way that they don't go around with a bad smell. I imagine that they don't have a bad smell when they come home. I imagine that they're able to
What's
clean
that
out
say?
better nowadays.
Take a shower,
Right, today also showers are more available. Remember
Uh-huh.
then that
Yeah.
take a shower to go to
This
bathhouse.
time
The
it
whole,
was a big deal, once a week or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Meisvei, Mekamitz, Zeborsi. The Brash seems to say different than Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda explained that a Mekamitz, try to, what are we talking about now? Mekamitz?
The gathering
Right.
the excrement.
So here we have two pshatim, and he said that it's Mekamitz Soas Kalavim, and the Brash seems to say that it's a Borsi. Mekamitz a Borsi, contradiction. So the Gemara says, leave me alone. The Mishnah alone doesn't make sense. The way the Bryce explains that Makamis is a Borsi, takes Shalach Mastis, and how does the Bryce learn the Mishnah? It says Hamakamitz, Hamitzaf Nechoshes, Borsi. You have here Hamakamitz and a Borsi. So you can't say that both of them are the same because it will be repeating itself. If you say Makamitz also means a tanner, a Borsi means a tanner, why does it say it twice? So leave me out of it. Rav Yehuda says, look at the Mishnah alone doesn't make sense. The Gemara says that wouldn't have been a problem. Ishlama Mastis and Lokasha, Kam Borsi Gadol, Kam Borsi Katan. There's a big tanner, a big businessman, and the small one, Rashi says he's poor, he doesn't even have so many skins to hides to tan, so he doesn't smell so bad. So the Chiddush is even a small tanner, a small business, small time business also is enough. So it wouldn't bother us that it says 2 times the same thing, because it wants to tell you even a small business is also enough to grounds for divorce. Ela Rav Yehuda Kasha, because the bride is someone who gathers the excrement. The Gemara says Tanoi, the Tanya Makam is a Borsi, Yeshomim Zamakam is so as well. We find the Tanam like Rav Yehuda also. It is true, the Rashi quote it says that it's a tanner, but there are others that explain that it's somebody who collects the tzoas. So Rav Yehuda was explaining according to that Brisa, both Pshatim are true, both Pshatim are good, and both of them would be Allah also. That either one would be it's just an example of somebody who has a bad odor. I'm a Saf Nechoshes. What does that mean? What is this? Something about copper. What is that? So I don't know what that means. Rashi says it means that copper smith, the one who makes the kalim out of the copper. He gets the copper and he makes kalim out of it. He's the one who bangs on it or smoothing it out, whatever he has to do. So even a copper smith is also a problem. So I thought, I don't know what the problem is, but I saw that the Rishonim, some of them say that he's always black. So his face is always black. I don't know what that, but I guess any kind of like a grease also you can say nowadays. But nowadays we said anyway, we were able to clean ourselves. We have good, could even the cleansers that we have, that people are able to do, the grease removers, they didn't have all that. So a person who was dirty, came home. That's the Zamashiyish, as they say. So that was a claim she can't tolerate it. So he says that it means somebody's a copper smith. The one who takes it out of the source, which means a miner. He mines copper. Tanya Kabba said the Rabba Babachana is Messiah, is we found the Brisa that says that it means somebody that mines the copper. It could be the one he's much worse off than the one who just is a copper smith. This might be a machlokas going on. Nusugya. Amar Rav. Omer. I'm not giving food. I'm not going to support my wife. So Yosef thinks Kesuvo. So Rav says so that's the claims for divorce, and we force him to divorce and to pay the Kesuvo. He's not being a husband. Also, so Rav Elazar said over this statement in the name of Rav to Shmuel. Rav Elazar heard it from Rav, and he told Shmuel what Rav said. Omar, so Shmuel got upset. Give barley to Elazar to eat. So that means like he said a bad thing. Rav Elazar really has to understand Rav. Rav's the author of this, but he's not going to say this about Rav. But he said it about Rav Elazar, who said over that they give him sa'orim to eat. Rashi says it's like machal behema, like a kind of food that is not saying something smart, like a human being. Force him to give food. If his problem is not giving food, so the same way you can take a stick to force him to divorce, so take the stick and force him that he should give parnasa. The Rav argues, the Rav argues, a person lived with a snake in the same basket. That means that she has to the whole time go to him. He doesn't give again to Bezdin, and the whole time it's hard to get any money out of him. So she says, I can't live like that. So it seems to be machlokes. That Rav said that she could force for the get, and Shmuel says no, she could just go to Bezdin and ask for food and go to her. Kisalak Observer, when Observer went up to Eretz Yisrael from Bavel, Observer moved from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael. He found in Eretz Yisrael Rabbi Yamar Bar Yefes saying over the same halach as Rav in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. He said also, like Rav said, that if someone is not supporting his wife, so that's grounds for divorce. He could force him to give a get. Amalei, the Observer told Rabbi Yamar Bar Yefes, because of this statement, they gave barley to Rabbi Lazar to eat in Bavel. Means I heard this psak also in Bavel, but they got very upset about it. The Shmuel doesn't agree to it. That's the end of the Gemara. And some say because Shmuel was so strong, he passed like Shmuel. Others say no, that the halach is like Rav and Rabbi Yochanan against Shmuel. But in the Shulchan Aruch it says like Shmuel, that you don't force a get, you just force him to feed it. That's the end of that Gemara. New sugya. And just to open up the sugya, the Gemara the sugya we're getting into is the force of a couple that was married 10 years and they didn't have children. They forced them to get divorced. The Gemara says that he is supposed to marry another woman. If this woman is not, if he knows it's his problem, the doctor says it's his problem that they're not having children, so then there's no reason to divorce. But if it's might be the woman's problem, so he's supposed to marry another woman. If he marries another woman, he has two wives, that's fine. He doesn't have to divorce, he just takes the second wife to have, he has two wives. But if he's not getting married, so it's possible he's not getting married because he has a one wife and he's happy. So then we tell him that he's supposed to divorce her. That'll encourage him to get another wife. Or maybe other women don't want to marry him because he's married already. So then he's supposed to divorce him. If he can get a wife right now, he can get a wife as a second wife, that's fine. So the question is, do you force him? If you don't see him divorcing his wife. He's married already 10 years and doesn't have children. It could be that it's her problem, and he's not being the kind of who. So he's supposed to divorce her, but he's not divorcing her. Do you force him? That's going to be the sugya now. We had the Gemara in Yevamos where spoke about that he's supposed to divorce her, but do you force it? That didn't talk about over there. That's going to be our sugya. So the Gemara starts. Amar Rav Yudah Amar Rav. First one line. Amar Rav Yudah Amar Rav Asi, or it says on the side. Amar Rav Yudah Amar Rav. Okay. You only force a person. Asin means to force. The force get is called get musa. That you only force a get if someone's married to psulos. Someone's not married. Of course, this is besides our Mishnah. Our Mishnah says other cases that you force because of mukashchin. These things our Mishnah said that you do force. But first, the Gemara starts with a memory from Rav Asi that you only force a get if he's married to a apostle woman.
Ma'asim means what?
Ma'as. You ever collected the people who collect tzedakah? So you say it's tiskul mitzvahs, right? What are you supposed to answer to them? Tiskul la'asos. What does it mean la'asos?
The action.
The force of acting, forcing somebody else means the gabbai tzedakah. He's called a ma'asa because he goes to people to get them to give tzedakah. So a ma'asa means when you cause somebody to do something, not the act, but not the one who does it, but the one who gets other people to do it. So to ma'aseh, a get mu'useh means we make him give, we force him to give a get. So ein ma'aseh ela l'psulos. So only force.
So when they tell me tiskul mitzvahs, I'm supposed to answer what?
Tiskul la'asos means you should be zocher to get other people to take gifts.
So they only force the one who
if they're married to a apostle woman. If they're married to a woman that they're not allowed to be married to, so then you force them to give a get. And the Gemara explains, when I said over this statement to Shmuel, he explained, you know what it means? Psulos. Go on Almana L'Kohen Gadol, Kushav Achlusa L'Kohen Hediot, Mamzeh Sem L'Sein of Yisrael, Bas Yisrael L'Nasem L'Mamzeh, all these examples that a Kohen Gadol married Almana. He's not allowed to. So you force him to divorce. He doesn't want to, you force him. Or a Kohen Hediot married a Grusha. So you force him to divorce her. And Mamzeres married Yisrael. He's not allowed to marry Mamzeres. So you force him to divorce her. Mamzer Yisrael, the Nasan, Bas Yisrael, the Nasan, Mamzer. All these cases are Chavi Lavin. that they're not allowed to be married. So you force them.
So
You
there's an
force them.
extreme, so the extreme, this is the extreme Pesach, is that only those things which are absolutely forbidden.
Right,
There's
then you
Not
force.
anything that's uncomfortable.
That's what they see soon.
Is that
So
right?
that's what it seems to say.
That's what
And the Gemara is going to ask, why is it not mentioned in the Mishnah by us that our Mishnah says that's how it started by our Mishnah, whereas that a few lines before it spreads, it doesn't say these things. That's what the Gemara is going to talk about. Why is it not in our Mishnah?
Why don't we just say it doesn't count? Like, why do we say marriage is good and you have to force them to divorce? Why not just say it didn't count? Because like we had other cases where you took a netter and you said the netter doesn't mean anything because you weren't.
So what doesn't count? What won't count?
Marriage. You're forcing. You're saying that if this guy married a.
Does it take
Alana,
effect? Does it take
doesn't
effect in the
take
first place?
effect,
Now,
right.
so that there was a serious maybe in Yavamis that it talks about there are some marriages that don't take effect, like Chavi Krisis. If it's such a isser that they weren't allowed to get married on the Krisis level, like a sister. Someone gave a ring to a sister and said, "You're married to me." So then it's nothing. It didn't take effect. But this is only Chavi Lav, and this is a lower level that it says do not. So that the Gemara learns out that it does take effect, but they have to get divorced. So Shmuel said that the case where you force him is psulos, these kind of psulos, the Chavi Lavin. But if you married a woman at 10 years and she still didn't give birth, ain't go for no so. Even though he's supposed to divorce her, but you don't force him. Person doesn't mix in. We tell him Allah is he's supposed to divorce, but person doesn't force him. That was one opinion. That was, I guess, who said that? Rav Yudah said the name of Shmuel. But Rav Tachlifa Bar Avimi Amar Shmuel, Afilu Nasa Isha V'Shayim Ma'aser Shanim V'Lo Yolda Kafan Also. He says no. That Shmuel. He said the name of Shmuel. No, that even if it would be this issue that a woman didn't get married, didn't give birth for 10 years after marriage, also you force him also. So it's machlokes in the name of Shmuel. What does Shmuel say? Did Shmuel say that you forced this case of not having children for 10 years or not? So now the one wants to bring our Mishnah as a proof. Now we looked at our Mishnah. It has our Mishnah that says this is a list of things where you force him to divorce. Why doesn't it say this? All these lists over here. This Mishnah is only talking about Drabanan cases. It means that the din that Amman Kohen Gadol is supposed to divorce her, that's on the Raisa level he's supposed to divorce her. So that the Mishnah is not talking about. Our Mishnah, we're not talking about the Raisa cases. It's not a kasha why it doesn't say over here Amman Kohen Gadol in our Mishnah. Because we're talking about cases that with the Raisa you don't force them. But with Rabbanan, these are cases where the woman comes and she has a time, I can't tolerate him. So the Rabbanan get involved and they say when we're going to force. But someone's that married to a man the Kohen Hediot, that's not our Mishnah. But the question is going to be that the case about the marriage of 10 years without children, that's also only Rabbanan. That's what I introduced before, but in the name of Rashi, that with the Rashi, there's no din that he has to divorce her. There's no such din. No such din that has to divorce a wife because she doesn't have. There's no such din. You have to get another wife, 2 wives, 10 wives, whatever you want. But you have to have a wife that can give birth. But there's no din that has to divorce.
Under Rabbi Gershon, can get another one.
Now, that's it.
Right, that's not relevant to even that. Also, probably they talk about the renegotiation. Also, didn't mean if it's going to be a question about what woman not having a child. But all that is after the Gemara, so it doesn't. And even Rabbeinu Gershom was over already. And didn't they say how long it was on until the year 5000 or something like that?
Nobody would go against nobody goes against it.
Other problems nowadays. But when I didn't, here the was going with the Ikadin, there's no din with the rights that they asked the divorce.
Practically, you have a problem.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just questioning what you do.
No, so the question is, if someone knows that the wife is the problem, that she's not having children, so he's supposed to divorce her. It could be that Chazal didn't mean in such a case. If Chazal don't give the option, this is already not on the page. But if Chazal never said he has to divorce his wife. They just said take another wife. If you don't want to take another wife, then divorce your wife in order to get another wife. It could be in our situation nowadays that there is no option of getting keeping 2 wives. Maybe the halacha will change. But here the one's talking about if this halacha that says that if he was married 10 years and he doesn't have a child from her, he should divorce her. If he doesn't have another wife, it's only Rabbanan. The rest is no such thing. So Rabbanan said if you're just continuing 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, he's not getting a shidduch. Why not getting a shidduch? Because you're happy, you have a wife already. So then they force him. Then they tell him he's supposed to divorce her. That's only Rabbanan. So now I want to know, why is it not in our Mishnah? The din about the Kohen Gadol marrying a Almana and a Kohen Hedim, that doesn't say in our Mishnah. That's good because it's the Raisa. Our Mishnah is not talking about the Raisa, it's only talking about Rabbanans. But this din is a din Rabbanan, so why is it not in our Mishnah? So we have a focus, is it true or not? Some say you don't force, then it's good. Why it's not in our Mishnah? Because you don't force. But if you do force, and it's only Rabbanan, so it should have been in our Mishnah. Then what was the proof from our Mishnah that you don't force him to divorce? He's supposed to divorce her, but you don't force him. So Bishlam, they got 3 lines up. Bishlam Ravasi, Rabbanan Katani, the Raisa Katani. According to Ravasi that says that you don't force the 10-year marriage. You don't force, then it's good. Why? What's in our Mishnah? What's not? Our Mishnah that says Rabbanan, it doesn't say the Raisa, and that's why it doesn't say about Alman Lakohen Gadol Lakohen Hedim, because that's the Raisa. And there is no such din that he has to divorce his wife after 10 years. That says that it's also a din to force the man to divorce his wife if they were married 10 years. Listening, no should have said that also, because it's Rabbanan and it doesn't say it. Why doesn't it say it? So the one wants to prove that you don't force. Not difficult. Amish is talking about when do you force him with a stick? It means you physically force him. Lesson comes, they send people that would physically force him to divorce. He's whether he has a bad odor and his wife says she wants a gift and he doesn't want to give a gift. So Besson physically forces him. But by the case of not having children after 10 years, even if you hold that you force him, you don't force him physically, you force him with words. The Mepharshim say that for words over here would mean not just encouraging words. It means that they would maybe put him in the chayim even, but they don't touch him. They don't physically force him. That's why it's not on our list. Our list is talking about even physical force. But Maskafa Abiyava, the devorim lo yusar oved, lo yivoser oved. That's a pasuk. A pasuk in Mishlei that means to say that words are not effective. That if a person listens, he listens, but he knows the halakha is supposed to divorce, but he's not divorcing. So you tell him he's in chayim or something like that. That's also not strong enough. With words alone, the eved is not chastised. He doesn't get rebuked because of words alone. You have to hit him. So too, if the person's not listening, you do have to hit him. Whenever it says kofen, it means by stick, with a stick. It means you force him physically. So back to the kasha, whenever it says forcing, it means physically. And why is it not in our Mishnah? If the din is that you force him physically by not having children for 10 years, it should have been in our Mishnah. You're right. Whenever we force with sticks, means physically. In our Mishnah, it's only a question about her choice. Our Mishnah says that these are things that she could force. She's the one who wants to divorce, so then we force because she wants out. But the case about the 10 years is not because she's agreeing. Even if she agrees, we don't let her. So it's a different category. The Mishnah of is a category of when she's coming with the taina. But the Mishnah of your din about not having children for 10 years is not her. Okay, nice. But the Gemara says, that comes to tell you that you force them even if she wants to stay married. She wants, he wants, but we force them to separate because it's not healthy, like the Mishnah said. That the Mishnah says even if both of them agree, we don't allow them to stay married because marital relations are not healthy for him. It's going to make him run. So we tell them they have to get divorced. So you see the Mishnah here is talking about even things that don't have to do with her complaint. She's not complaining. It still says it in the Mishnah. So let us say also the din about the 10 years, that even though they're not complaining, they want to stay married, but we force them to divorce. The Gemara says, the case of the Mukashchin, and our Mishnah says that's not healthy for him. He can't do marital relations if they will agree to always have somebody with them to make sure that they never have yichud, they'll never be in seclusion. So then they could stay married. It's only a question that they shouldn't have relations. So even though we tell them you can't stay married by yourselves because maybe you'll have relations and that's not good for him. We have to take care of his physical health. So we tell them to get divorced. But if they would say that we'll have always, someone should move in with us and we won't have marital relations, then they'll let us stay married because we're only concerned about the relations. We're not concerned about that, just being married. But here by the case of the 10 years, if you hold that you're forced to divorce, it's even if they will agree that they never should ever have relations also. They have to divorce and they should find another wife. We want to encourage them to find another wife by divorcing this wife. So it wouldn't help that they'll agree never to have relations and somebody will be in the house with them. They'll still stay married and he won't find another wife. So therefore, it's not on the list over here. The Gemara just explained why it's possible that it should be that you do force him to divorce his wife if they have children for 10 years, but why is it not in the Mishnah? Just trying to explain a possibility. We didn't prove anything. We just answered the question. The one wanted to prove that you don't force him because it's not in the Mishnah. And the Gemara says it's not a proof. I could make a presentation why it's not in our Mishnah, even though you do force him, because it's a different kind of a forcing. Our Mishnah is talking about you force him because she wants out. But if she doesn't want out, they can stay married. And even in the case of Mukashkin also, they can stay married, even though as long as they can prove that they're not going to have relations. That's also, it's only Amish is really dinim, her personal dinim, that she has a right to demand a get. The case about the 10 years, nothing to do with her claim. She's not claiming over there. We have to divorce them in order that she should find a new wife that is childbearing. So that's why it's not on our list. The Gemara didn't pass it. The Gemara said it's not a right from our Mishnah. In the Shulchan Aruch it says, I think nowadays we don't force. We don't. There's a lacha, even if he's supposed to divorce his wife after 10 years, but we don't enforce it. So in Shulchan Aruch it does say that we don't enforce it. They do talk about how come that even the question is, okay, we don't enforce it, but if you tell them you're chayiv to divorce her, a person happily married, and mamish is it's heartbreaking. They have to get divorced because they have no children. They want to stay married. So the postscript they bring down that the minhag is not to divorce, not even not to enforce, not to divorce. And that's the question: why not? Why should he bring it? It's against the Gemara. So it's interesting how things change. That the source where they bring this from is because it says, what's the problem nowadays in the place where we live? When we get married, having another wife is not a reason not to marry. They marry second marriages easily. As long as the culture is the opposite culture. The case of the source of the posik that said that there's no reason to divorce nowadays is because there's no problem to get a second wife, even if he stays married. In the times of the Gemara, it was difficult to get a second wife if he was married. People didn't want to be a second wife. So it was difficult to get a second wife if he's still married. So we say you have to divorce in order that she should be an only wife.
Yeah.
But the poskim that you'll get a second wife easily also. Nowadays everything changed, and we're still relying on those poskim that they really it doesn't. The culture is not that way anymore. So I'm just saying in the halakha, it's a little question. How come people don't? It's never happened to anybody. It's a terrible tragedy. But
what if a woman can't have children? She should never get married.
She should get married to somebody who has children already, or right, that's someone who's Mekayim Peruvu, someone who has children already. He has Peruvu. So now he's taking a wife that cannot have children. That's okay. Or if the man cannot have children, or he has children already. But if she getting married to somebody who could have children and is not going to have children,
Either somebody who can't have a man who can't have children, or a man who has children.
Right. New Gemara. The rest of it, the rest of the parak now is Agadata. The rest of the page, the rest of the day today starts here with Agadata. Came out good for a first day. Tanya. Amar Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi said, an old man from Yerushalayim told me, there are 24 types of different boils. And Chacham said for all of them, it's unhealthy for them to have relations. They shouldn't have, it's difficult for that disease if they have relations. There's one disease called Bali Rasan, which, do they have a translation for that in English? Do they have what Rasan is? Or they just transliterate it?
It says Rasan.
Rasan, okay, that doesn't explain it. Okay, then I was going to say what it is exactly. Maybe not exactly, but we'll see what
it says. It's caused by the presence of a parasitic organism that inhabits the space between the inside of the skull and a membrane of the brain.
Right, okay, so that's nice that instead of saying a sheretz, like some kind of a bug, they say a parasite.
It's very contagious and miserable.
Can I see closer? I'm sorry.
Meningitis. Meningitis.
Meningitis is going to be some kind of a bacteria, probably, right? Some kind of,
Illustration.
That's what it says between the skull.
yeah, it's outside. It's outside. They didn't get this from. They didn't get that from the hospital. I guess it's imagination. But it's going to like the word to say is a parasite, some kind of parasitic organism that is on the brain. So that's the worst. If I wasn't question cool, that's the worst. To have relations, that's really the worst. That's the end of the bride. That's the end of the bride. It seems. Now the Gemara goes on to talk about this issue of Rasa Mimai Havi. From what does it come? When does a person how could a person contract that disease? The Tanya, hikis dam v'shimei shavim labanim v'sikin. Hikizu shnei v'shim shavim labanim bali rasan. If they let blood, the one of the parents, the husband or the wife, they let blood and then they had relations, that's a good thing to do. So the children are going to be weak. Rashi says it means chalashim, they'll be very weak. Maybe there's some kind of medical term for that. But if both of them had let blood and had relations, then the children are going to be balei rasan. They'll have this disease. Amra Papa, lo monel lo tamidi, avol tamidi lo slam. But it's only if they had they didn't eat anything after they let blood. They didn't eat anything. If they ate something, then already it's not going to be as dangerous for the children. My simone. What are the symptoms of this disease? So it says 4 symptoms. That his eyes are, I guess, tearing. There's the tears coming out of his eyes, and his nose is running, not running nose, and he also has dribbling coming out of his mouth, his eyes, his nose, and his mouth. Everything is running. Also, there are flies hang around him. Flies, house flies, they hang around him. That's the symptoms. My asute, what is the remedy? What is the remedy for this disease called Rasan? So, Amar Abaye, Pila, that's one thing. Ludna, another thing. Kirda Dagoza, another thing. Third. Kirda Dashba is the 4th one. Kalamalka is the 5th one. Masala the Dikli Sumka is the 6th one. 6 ingredients. So Rashi says Pila, I just got the translations from Rashi's friend, the translations. So Pila is going to be pennyroyal. Anybody's familiar with pennyroyal? It's a kind of a
We
very
can
good
expect
little-
some interesting pictures from that.
and Ludna, they say is
Ludna.
absinthe.
Wormwood.
Absinthe,
I have wormwood.
wormwood. Okay, they say it's the same thing. Okay, also kind of herb or spice. And the third one, the rest of them I don't know if we know. Gida that goes up, that means the shavings of a nut tree. The bark that you shave off a nut tree. Gida the ashpa, Rashi says, what does the Rashi say that means? Gida the ashpa means the shavings of a hide. When you tanning, you take the shavings off. So those shavings also. And Kalo Malka, what does Rashi say about that? Kalo Malka, he says chavatzelas, that means a rose. And maskala the dikla sumka. On the palm tree, so you have dates growing. So around the dates is some kind of reddish peel when they're young, Rashi says. So you take all these 6 ingredients, and cook them all together, and it becomes a very strong potion. What happens? Now you're going to do brain surgery. She should take him into a marble house. That means like an operating room where there's no wind, no, it's very sterile over there. If you don't have a marble house available, so take him into a house that has very thick walls, that it has 7 levanim and 1 ariach. A levena is a brick that's 3 tefachim, and 7 bricks. It has the thickness of 7 bricks, which is already 21 tefachim, plus another ariach is another half, 7.5 bricks. So that's going to be like 22.5 tefachim. Very thick wall. So there's like pretty sterile. The Natalay Plasma Kasial Reshe, Adirafia Risa the Moche, and pour 300 cups of this potion. You need a lot of this stuff, 300 until it's going to soften his skull. And they're going to cut it open. The Kar the Moche and cut open his skull. Maisi Anai, what are you going to do? You find this parasite over there and remove the parasite. The rest don't pull it out, because you pull it out, then it's gonna tear the membrane. So Maisi Tarfi does 4 leaves of Hadassah leaves, little tiny leaves. And Madli Chad Kara, almost Chad. And it seems to say pick up 1 leg at a time. It has 4 legs. This parasite has 4 legs. Pick up 1 leg at a time and stick the Hadass under it, in order that it shouldn't have a grasp on the brain. And then the shokol then take it away with the tweezers, this parasite, and burn it up. The ilo, how do you love it? If you're not going to burn it up, it's going to come back again. So make sure you burn it up. That's the end of the thing about the Rasan. The more continues, second line. Rabbi Yochanan would announce be careful from the flies. We said before, the flies hang around them. There are flies that was one of the symptoms, that flies hang around them. Be careful from those flies. They could spread the disease of these Bali Rosan. The Rabbi wouldn't sit even in the proximity of a wind. If the wind would be blowing on this Bali Rosan, he wouldn't want to be in the wind. That might bring the disease to him. Rabbi Elazar wouldn't even go into the house of somebody that had Rosan. They wouldn't eat from the eggs that came out of that movie. The whole, not only his house, the whole chutzah, the whole movie, the whole alleyway, they wouldn't take eggs that were in that vicinity. Now the Gemara goes on to a whole different subject, also about Bali Rosan, and he sees very contagious. But if Yeshua ben Levi Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi would wrap himself up with them and teach Torah. It means he would teach Torah to them, even though they had a contagious disease. He says Torah is going to protect. That he wasn't worried about contracting the disease because he was teaching them Torah. Amar, he said,
people.
Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi would stay with those people,
Yeah.
and he would teach Torah to them, even though they had contagious disease. He said, "I'm teaching Torah. I'm not going to contract the disease." Amar, he says, it says in the pasuk about Torah that it's like a yalas ahavim and a yalas chaim. So the pasuk shot ayala is a kind of a deer, a female deer that's very beloved to its mate, and also Yael is a kind of a mountain goat that also has charm on its mate. And that says that the Torah is so beautiful. The Gemara says that Darshans yalas chaim is like malachain, that it brings charm on a person. And he said if it brings charm, then it surely protects from disease. If the Torah brings charm upon its learners, it surely is not going to protect. So he was sure that he's not going to be affected by this disease. So he used to learn with these Bali Rosan, and it seems he never contracted the disease. That is what it seems. When he was dying, they said to the angel of death, means in heaven, they told the angel of death that they should take his life. But the words say, go and do his will, do his bidding. It sounds like don't kill him against his will. Like, I think that's the word. This maybe a translation could help me. What does it mean? They told the angel of death, do his will.
Go do for him whatever he wishes.
Whatever he wishes. It means don't just kill him. Ask him. You have to take his life. Yeshua Levi's time to die, but do it according to the way he wants. The Malach came and he appeared to Yeshua Levi. So Yeshua Levi said, show me my place. You want me to die and go to Gan Eden? I want to see what's waiting for me. Show me my place in Gan Eden. He said, okay, say that. Like, I'll show you your place. But give me your knife. Give me the Malach goes around with a knife, that he kills people. So means your power of killing, I want to take it. Maybe you're going to scare me on the road. Means I'm scared on the road. I don't want going with the Malach. Give me your weapons. Okay, Yavan Ali gave it then. When he came to the place of his Gan Eden, he picked him up. He was showing him, I guess, over the wall. He was showing him what Gan Eden is waiting for him. So he jumped. Yeshua took the opportunity to jump into Gan Eden. He didn't die. He jumped into Gan Eden. Shava means he jumped and he fell into that place. Not the Bekana, the Glime. He was holding on to the corner of his garment. I don't know, this part I didn't get. If anybody could help me. He was holding on to his garment.
The angel held on to the
Garment of Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi.
Yeah.
So even though he was on the other side of Gan Eden, but I guess the Malach couldn't go in. If I was not entry from Malach in Gan Eden. So he was holding on to his garment. Amalei Vishwasa the Lo Asina. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi said, I make a shvur that I'm not coming out. He made an oath that I'm not coming out. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi said, I'm staying in Gan Eden. He got into Gan Eden alive.
Wow.
Without dying.
What's the Gisa?
Gisa means side. Lahu Gisa fell to the other side.
He was on the side of the Gan Eden.
Yeah. And then Malach was holding on to him, onto his clothing. And Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi said, I'm not leaving. If he ever made like a Torah shvua, if he ever went back on the shvua, even permissible way, so then let him be matir neder also now. But if he never did it in his lifetime, he was so careful with the shvua, so then the shvua is going to stay. And it sounds like he didn't. He never made a shvua, so they can't take him out of Gan Eden. It sounds like they were saying he stayed in Gan Eden alive.
We don't talk about it. We only talk about we don't talk about it in Novi. We talk about
Chanoch,
I know, so we never speak about
Rabbi Shubal Levi. This is it. Kesuvo 77. Amalei, Havli Sakino. He said, give me back my knife. No, you didn't want to give it. Means nobody else is going to die. But the Baskol of heavenly voice came out and said, give him back his knife. Then Misbah said, the people need it. Means people need to die. It's something necessary for the way the world is now, that people need to die. So over there in Gan Eden, so Elio made an announcement, make room for Yeshua Levi. Yeshua Levi is here, make room. Amalei, Azal, Ashkele, Rab Shim Bayichoy. So Yeshua Levi found, he met with Shim Bayichoy over there in Gan Eden, and he was sitting on 13 thrones of gold. I guess like Rashi says pedestals, maybe like something about the throne, some kind of fancy 13. Amalei Atu Balivoy. So Reb Shimon he asked Reb Shimon Levi, "Are you Reb Shimon Levi? You're Ben Levi?" Amalei, hey, yeah, I'm Reb Shimon Levi. Nearest to the Keshes B'Yamecha, was ever a rainbow seen in your days? Was a rainbow seen in your lifetime? Amalei, hey, he said yes. So Reb Shimon he said, "In Kain Iyata Balivoy, if a rainbow was seen in your days, so you're not Yeshua Levi. Yeshua Levi, there was no rainbow seen in his days. Means that the rainbow is a simon that is deserving of a marble, and Hashem is doing it because of the Shvuah. But in the schus of Yeshua Levi, he said never was a rainbow seen in his lifetime, because in his schus the world was protected and it wasn't going to be destroyed. Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, he asked Rabbi Yeshua Levi, he heard about it. Rav Shimon Bar Yochai heard about Yeshua Levi, and he said that Yeshua Levi, no rainbow was seen in his days.
So he asked this guy.
So he asked him, there was a rainbow seen in your day? He said yes. He said, then you're not you're a pastor. You're not the right one.
That's possible.
So the Gemara says, Velohi, the whole story wasn't true. The Lo Havoi, really there was no rainbow. He didn't want to take credit. He didn't want to take credit. There was no rainbow. So he said there was no rainbow. But really, here you see a case of lying also. He was not alive for humility also. It's nice more to bring in the sugya of Shekhar.
By the way, we all know that the Rishon I never had any.
He says that?
His day, there was never.
It says that?
Very true.
You know where? I'm not questioning. I just don't know.
No, I'm thinking.
I would like to make a reference.
I'm trying to think if it's in the great Kizmon, this famous body of Kizmon. I'll ask. Definitely.
Okay.
Ela Savar Lo Achasi.
What?
What is this? Ela Savar.
But he thought, Lo achzik tivus al nafshei. I won't hold credit to myself. To be machzik tova. Machzik tova. Machzik tova means to attribute.
Super.
And also you can lie. He lied for a good reason.
It's good to know.
I mean, may I say that Hashem not lied? I don't know what the word is. We called Abraham that changed the gears. He told Abraham that Sarah says she's too old. She didn't say
for a good reason.
So
For a good
I'm saying
reason.
that if Hashem,
That's for a good reason.
if Hashem can, I don't wanna say that.
Yeah. Yes. The related story. Rabbi Chanina Bar Papa, Sheshvina Hava. Rabbi Chanina Bar Papa was his friend. I think it means whose friend? Malchamav. Rashi says the friend of the angel of death. I thought of Shubal Levi, and as soon as he's going to say something like that, Rashi says he was a friend of the Malchamav. When it was time for him to die, they would say, also they told the angel of death, go, means and take his, but do it according to his wishes. Went to him and he appeared to him. Wait 30 days, because I want to first review all my learning. Before I die, I want to review all my learning. Because they say, the saying goes, fortunate is the man who came here to Gan Eden, and he has his learning with him. So I want to review, last review before I leave the world. Shavki, so let him alone. The boss of Talsin Yom after 30 days he came back and he appeared to him. Again, here was Rabbi Chanina Bar Papa. He said, show me my place in Gan Eden. So I agreed, yes, I agree. Also, sleep or give me your night, because maybe you're going to scare me on the road, on the path. You want to do the way your friend here, the Chava Levi, you want to do the same trick. He took away the knife, I almost didn't give back. At the end, Hashem told him to give back, but I'm not going to give you my knife. Okay, what happened? Amalei, I see Sefer Torah, Bachazim, Yikamidi, the custom made like Kantia. Bring a Sefer Torah, and let's see if there's anything that I didn't fulfill. Means that I did the whole Torah. Means maybe he means to say, I don't know what he means to say with this, that maybe give me your knife, whatever, because I don't know what he meant to say, what he wanted to say with this, but he says, bring a Sefer Torah to see if there's anything that I didn't fulfill. Maybe he says, therefore you shouldn't die. I'm not sure. Amalei, mi ichraches bebalei rasan v'yasik b'Torah. Did you do like Rabbi Shua ben Levi, that you stay together with the Balei Rasan and learn Torah? Means he had a big schus, that he took the risk of going to learn with the Balei Rasan, even though it's a very contagious disease. But did you do like him? Means if you would have done like him, then he went into Gan Eden alive. Probably that's what he means to say. That in order to go in Gan Eden alive, then you need the schus of Rabbi Shua ben Levi, but you don't have that. Even though you're great, you did everything in the Torah, but you didn't do like that. Even so, means even though he wasn't able to go into Gan Eden alive, but when he died, so there was a pillar of fire that was separating him and everybody else. A pillar of fire surrounded of Chanina Papi. Nobody was able to get close to him. We have a Masorah that this pillar of fire only comes to one or two people in a generation. It's not something that any great person gets, only one or two in a generation. So they weren't able to bury him because the fire was surrounding him. They weren't able to bury him. Approached the bier of Rabbi Hanina Bar Papa. Amar Asebishvil Kavod Chachamim. Do for the honor of the Chachamim. All the Chama here, they want to bury you, and it's insulting to them that they can't approach you. But Lo Ashkach, he didn't listen. It means that's not enough reason that the fire should go away. Asebishvil Kavod Avicha. Do for the honor of your father. Also Lo Ashkach. That also wasn't enough reason. Do it for your own honor. So then it did move away. It's his honor that he should be buried. They weren't able to bury him. Amar Abaye, that this was in order to keep out people that did not fulfill the Torah. Means he fulfilled the whole Torah. Like you said, there's not even one thing he didn't fulfill. He fulfilled the whole Torah. Right? And therefore Abaye said that the fire is holding back anybody that did not fulfill the Torah. Anybody that was missing anything from the Torah, so this fire is holding him back. But Avada Bar Masna took the opportunity to give Musa to Abaye. Avada Bar Masna, the Fukim Imar, the low Islam market, that the fire is holding you back because you didn't do one of the mitzvahs because you have no fence around your roof. There's a mitzvah to have a market, and Avada Bar Masna
right here and there.
Yeah, right there. Avada Bar Masna told Abaye that the fire is keeping you away because you don't have a market on your roof. But it says below, it's not true. The Gemara says really he had a roof. Never have a. But he shaita who the shadi zika. He had a roof. He had a fence on his roof. But at that time, the big wind came and it pushed it down. So when Avada Bar Masna passed by his house on the way to the funeral, so he saw there was no roof. So he took the opportunity to tell him, there's the fire is keeping you away because you don't have a fence. But really,
this is not permitted in public to say this.
It doesn't say it was in public.
It wasn't.
It doesn't say. I'm finished and end of that story. New point. How come people in bubble don't have this disease of Rasan? Because they eat tardin, sometimes as beets, sometimes it's a beets. It's just the same plant. The one is the root one leaves. And all beer comes from.
Tardin is not spinach.
I think so, but also the times were translated sometimes as leek, as beet, and I think it's the same thing. It's a beet spinach kind of a thing.
Yeah, beet leaves, the green beet leaves.
Right.
Today,
so that's called. So it's probably the beet that now they sell it is called, and Tarot is called spinach in the market.
You get beet lean.
Yes,
that's green.
The green one,
and it's also spinach. Spinach. It's the same.
We had the Simon.
Exactly.
The green.
And what do you call that?
Called select ale said.
So he said terror. That's what he's saying. That's
right.
Terror they call spinach.
That's right.
Okay, and so that and also they drink beer that grows from the thorns. So Rashi says that the beer is made out of hops, shows hops, and the hops they grows on the thorns. So for some reason this is prevented. His me is thorns. So that preventive medicine for Rosa.
Isn't there what's the place on Kizmi on the way to north? You go up to Binyamin and to Shimon, isn't there?
I don't know.
Machsom Hizmi.
I don't know, but his
Could
word
be
is in
Hizmi.
there.
Could be Hizmi. I'm not
The
sure.
word in Aramaic means thorns. How come people in Babel don't have saras? Because they eat this trodden, whatever you said, it means aliselek, and they drink beer and they wash in the waters of the Euphrates. Okay, someone got it. And what we learn from it, you see that teach Torah, because most people didn't do it. Even other great people didn't do it. They were sure when they said in the Torah, he's not going to contract the disease. Also, you see that
It's amazing.
has to take care of his health, things of a and Shosin Shechar. And other lessons also to learn over here. Okay, the one in the beginning said that things that could bring on diseases you're supposed to stay away from. Yashikar, everybody. Thank you.
Rabbi Gold wants to make a million,